Hey, what's up, everybody? Mark Price here, devslopes.com. Today, we're going to play around a little bit with Node and create our own server. If you want to pull open a browser here and go to github.com/devslopes, I've created a simple Express server. Click on that, simple Express server. And it may be a little bit different at the time that you're looking at this versus the time of recording. I may have updated it by then. But the idea is we create a mock backend so our components can interact with that backend, download data, things like that. And if you're wondering why, the reason is if we're working with React components, well, React is a front-end architecture, front-end piece of your overall project, okay? And so one thing you could do is, build your components, all the UI, and then in your code locally on your front end, you could start building out fake data. A lot of developers do this. They'll have some type of JavaScript object that has fake data in it. They'll pass it down to their views. But I don't want to do that. And here's the reason why. Your application in the end is going to be working with a server. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so if you do it that way, what you're going to do is you're going to create all this fake data on your front end. And then when you actually implement the server or are ready to talk to the server, you got to go throw all that away, refactor your code, and kind of waste a little bit of work. So what you want to do, at least in my opinion, is make your mock data on the back end. Start scheming it out as it might actually look in the end. So put all your fake data there. And then on your front end, implement the final architecture or frameworks that you're going to use to interact with the API. So right from the get-go, your front end has all the final tools you're going to be using. You don't have to go delete a whole bunch of stuff and refactor a whole bunch of things. It's ready to go, and your mock data is on the back end. So that's what this server is right here. And all you got to do is click download zip. I've even included the actual Node modules that are part of this, so you don't have to run npm install in case things ever change, any of the versions and stuff. I put it here on my desktop. Just going to double click it, and inside of this, you're going to see a server.js, readme.md, package.json, and Node modules, okay? So this consists of 3 Node modules, okay? Express, actually 2 Node modules, just Express and body parser. So let's go ahead and open up the script file here, server.js. Let's open it with Atom. Okay, so this is just simple Node and Express. If you don't know what Express is the framework that rests on top of Node to allow HTTP requests to be made and handled by Node. A very fantastic tool. Everyone uses it. Everyone's doing it. And very powerful and very easy to get going. Just with 19 lines of code, I could have made it less. We have a functioning server that can take HTTP requests. So let me show you how to use it, because we're going to be using this in our application development. So to run it, just open up your terminal here, okay? And let me cd, clear this, that's Command K, cd desktop, and we're gonna go, what was it called? Simple Express, cd, simple Express server master. Okay, and all I'm gonna do is run node, and we're gonna say server.js. So the server's now running, and it's running on port 6060, as you can see right here. So I click open a browser. Actually, just do it right here. I'm going to type in localhost, and we're going to go to 6060. And if you look at my code here, I've got a sample endpoint called animals, so I can just say /animals, and there it is. As you can see, that is returned to us in JSON format. And so let's say that you want to test out some type of data on your application, like a to-do list. Obviously, that's a very common one. So we could say to-do items, right? And it's going to be an array of objects. And actually, there we go. Let's just format it a little bit here. Okay, an array of objects, and each object has an ID. We'll just give it some fake hex value, or that's not even a hex value, some fake value, whatever. And title, is going to be clean kitchen, blah, blah, blah. One more just for example's sake. So this is me demonstrating, hey, I want to create a front-end app. I have a component that needs some type of data from the internet, from a server. And so you're going to mock out your data here. So ID, just give it a different unique ID, okay? And this title is going to be kill vicious mole rats. Fallout 4, baby. Okay, So to-do items, then what we could do is, we could have another endpoint, say app.get, and we could say to-do, and function request is the incoming request from the client. Response is what you're going to send back to the client, being the front end. Of course, this could also work on an iPhone as well too, or any other front end client you could call. You could tap into this. If it's on a local host, it'll be a little bit harder with an iPhone. But then we could just say res for response.send, and then we could just send to-do items like so. Okay. So if I go to my terminal and I Control-C to kill it, and then restart it here, go back to my browser. Let's make sure animals is still working, which it is. This time, let's say to-dos. Oops, I think it was just to-do singular. And there it is. So it's working. So I just added some mock data. So now on your application, just implement the system that you want on your front end. Put the final end system in there, and then just tap into this API. And then all you have to do when you're ready to actually tap into a real server, okay, the end server, you can just change the URL on it and maybe change how you manipulate the data or whatever. But that's all you have to do. So very powerful. One more thing I want to show you. So when working with Node, which you'll be doing a lot being a React developer. So by the way, if you don't know anything about Node, the more you use it, the better you'll be in a lot of areas of your development. But it's kind of annoying when you make changes on the server to have to continually kill the server and reload it. So I like to use an NPM package called NodeMon, like Bob Marley, NodeMon, kind of like that. That's how you spell it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say npm install -g for global, and we're going to say NodeMon. So that's going to install NodeMon globally. We don't need it for our particular project. It may ask you for sudo privileges and ask you to enter your credentials. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now what I can do, Command K to clear, I can say NodeMon server.js. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to run the server, but this time it's going to listen for changes, just like it does for Watchify on React when we are building our React components. So what I can do now is, let's say I wanted to add one more to-do item here, like so. ID, okay, title, dog meat. That's not even a to-do. I don't even know what's going on. What's going through my head? Okay, notice how I saved it, and instantly the server recognized the change and it restarted. So if I refresh this page now, there's now a third item on there, okay? So really cool stuff. I would suggest that you start using this, building your back-end data here, so you can start accessing it on your front end. And in case you're curious, for those more curious than others, Body Parser, okay, Body-Parser, it is a parsing package. It used to be part of Express, but they removed it, so it's now a separate package. And it's just a package that will take incoming requests and parse it into JSON so it knows what to do with it, okay? And then this is URL encoded is just setting the type of encoding that we want on the request. You can look it up on the documentation, but Body Parser goes hand in hand typically with Express. And this is all just pure JavaScript. When I say app.use, .use is considered middleware, so you can use something called middleware, which will handle incoming requests before they get to your handlers down here. So what we're saying is, hey, take this incoming request and funnel it first through Body Parser. Okay, so that's what middleware is. And of course, Express is the application that handles routing and APIs that makes working with servers really easy. You don't have to use Express with Node, but everybody does. And app.listen is actually turning on the server and listening on port 6060. And of course, we have a very minimalistic implementation, but no need to overcomplicate or confuse it. And that's it for now. Mark Price at devslopes.com. Let's get into the Node. And remember, to get your free live help, go to devslopes.com and click on chat room. I'm there all the time, as well as a huge community of other students.